All right, so what's going on, everybody? Today we're on another Sunday sit down, and I want to discuss something very kind of personal in regards to my overall trading journey. And it's something that you might be going through exactly at the time of your trading journey, and that is mentorships. It can be very difficult going through the ICT library of information and getting into the charts and still not having the results that you want. And when you don't get the results that you want, you can fall into this dire need that you need confirmation from an outside source or you need confirmation from somebody looking over you to make it seem as though you're on the right track. And one of the mistakes that I kind of made going into this overall ideas of mentorship and trading and becoming profitable was the kind of fake reliance on a mentor. Now, I played basketball in university, so I definitely understand the value of paying for courses, paying for instructional videos, paying for ball handling drills, paying for jumping drills, plyometrics when plyometrics were like the thing. There was something that I had back in the day called jump soles where you'd put these things on your, and you would just, these things on the front of your feet and you would just jump to like blow up your calves. But this isn't really to knock anybody that has a paid course, a paid mentorship, a paid one on one. It's really just to discuss, are you ready for a mentor? And a lot of the times you can feel as though a mentorship, if I just had a mentor, somebody to look over my stuff like ICT, then I would be profitable. And the side of mentorship, just because of the amount of people that would be in a course, it doesn't really work out the way you think it's going to work out. You might think you're going to be getting one-on-one teaching every single day. They'll review your trades. They'll review your journal. They'll review your state of mind. Why did you take this trade? Explain to me very specifically what you were thinking. Why did you think this was a draw on liquidity? Why was your target here? Why did you put your stop loss here? But that's not really what a paid mentorship is. It's more of kind of like a light overview of what you're doing and not really the one-on-one nature of the idea of things that you're going to want to go through. Now, did I pay for certain mentorships? Yes. Did I benefit from those mentorships? Yes. But it's because I was looking for very specific things at the time that I did choose those mentorships. So for example, I paid into a mentorship for Dion Trades. He had a school website, and at that point in time, it was around August 2025. I was at a point where I was getting into challenges. I started journaling every single day since April, London session, AM, New York AM session, New York PM session. So from April all the way to August, every single move, every single silver bullet entry, every single pre-market entry. So I had a decent amount of data that I had kind of in my portfolio. And that was when I kind of started taking things really serious. It was about retrieving data. And I actually ran into Dion Trades super randomly at a pickleball event, and we were talking about trading. And I was like, "Yeah, I do this. I use this model of like this guy called ICT trading that everybody thinks he's like crazy." And he's like, "ICT." He's like, "I trade ICT." So it just kind of like fell. I thank the Lord for putting Dion in my path to be able to show me the light on some of the mistakes that I was making. But the thing about a mentorship is, after I went through kind of all of his programs, I was looking for refining certain skills, and I wasn't really looking for a trading model because I already had the 2022 mentorship entry model that I got from ICT's free videos. And I wasn't really looking for somebody to review all of my trades because I kept decent amount of journals, decent amount of data on all my executions, all on previous combine challenges that I had done. So I had a relatively good idea about that. But where Dion played a huge impact on my overall trading was that he introduced certain concepts about bias. He introduced certain concepts about when you get into your trade, hold your trade, which is something I still struggle with today. And there was a Discord group. We used to talk, chat. Everybody would kind of share their ideas. Dion would share his ideas. Everybody would kind of be discussions. And what I kind of realized as I left that was that a lot of that noise of everybody chattering, seeing what ICT is posting on Twitter, what if it's contradicted to what I initially thought of my bias? What if that's contradicted to what Dion puts in his bias? You start getting overwhelmed with information. And I know it could seem like, oh, it's just simple, just trust yourself. But it's very difficult when you see highly successful traders go against your bias that you made, because then who do you blame? Obviously, the answer is you can always, 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 always in trading only blame yourself. But you're gonna want that little escape window to blame somebody else. So sometimes when my bias was different than what the mentor's bias was, you get into an instant conflict of, do I follow them? Do I follow myself? What if I follow them and they're wrong? What if I follow myself and I'm wrong? What if I follow myself and I'm wrong? Next time I should follow what they say. But what if they're wrong on the time that you follow them? So it creates all these ideas and thoughts that could be very toxic when you're getting into your trading model and you just want to relax and execute at a high frequency, high probability, high win rate. So was the mentorship beneficial? Yes, very beneficial. We were able to sit down at a restaurant, have some drinks, have some food, talk, chill, talk about charting, talk about life, talk about where we're going, what are our next steps, what are our next plans. So that was phenomenal. Just to talk to another trader who's doing ICT, which is very difficult to find, especially somebody who's been profitable with ICT stuff in kind of like reality. Typically, you just see these people on Twitter, you just see them on the internet, on YouTube, but you never kind of run into them one-on-one. So this was a phenomenal learning opportunity for me. And I thank God and I thank Jesus for putting Dion in my path for my overall growth in refining areas where I need to have refined. Now, the next mentorship that I took, which was maybe about, I want to say roughly about a year ago, was a candle range theory kind of idea from Morpheus. Morpheus, I think, was in the 2016 charter member, studied ICT, and he was very kind of in this mindset that I was about esoteric kind of ideas of thought, patterns in life. And when you look at a leaf and when you look at how many seeds are in a fruit, and when you look at this and organized chaos and chaos theory, and it's a very high level type of understanding of the markets. That's more kind of how does an algorithm work in nature, and how can you see what's happening in nature and apply it to the charts? So it's a very high level idea, conceptualization that a lot of people might not be ready for. But at that point in my life, I had already read a lot of esoteric stuff. So I read a lot about mysticism and Irenaeus when he wrote about mysticism in the early church. When I read a book by Dr. Hawkins, Power versus Force. I saw a lot of Terrence Howard stuff about frequencies, vibrations, Bob Proctor, vibrations, frequencies, manifestation. So my mind was already kind of exposed to those kind of ideas. But if you aren't in that kind of study or never went down that rabbit hole, it could seem like, what is this nonsense? This doesn't make no sense. So in that mentorship, there just was a break between the mentor and the mentees. There was a stop of kind of frequent posts. There was an initial kind of PDF that showed maybe like 5 different aspects of how to understand CRT and counting candles. And this is how you count them properly. This is how you count them wrong. But not enough kind of one-on-one, which is what I thought it would be more of. Whenever I think mentorship, I think of like my basketball trainer who said, no, don't do your left hand layer. When you go left, he cuts you off, step back, fake, pump fake. Then if he does this, cut off, boom, pull up shot. Like all of these things. So if you flip that over to trading idea, when you see the buy side being taken, but then after it does this, and then it's going to go high to take out buy side once more, then it's going to come down. But then if it comes down, it doesn't hit a breaker. You want to be able to, maybe it's going to be reversal into a continuation. Like that's how my mind kind of works. If this, then this, and if they do this, then this. If I cross over the first guy, then I got to do a spin move. Then the big steps up. Do I pass it down to my big, or do I shoot? Do I lob a floater over? That's how I thought these mentorships are going to work. But I'm telling you right now, you'll never get the amount of one-on-one treatment that you need unless you're willing to pay thousands of dollars. And for these courses, I paid hundreds, a couple hundred for the variety of different courses. And I'm not against buying courses for people who have provided valuable information into the space, and if it's being used to refine your model. I am against getting into a mentorship thinking that somebody's going to make you profitable, because the whole idea of being profitable is figuring out yourself, figuring out what makes you anxious, figuring out what makes you impulsive, figuring out what makes you angry, what makes you happy, what makes you want more, what makes you want to revenge trade, what makes you want to fear, what makes you want to not do your top-down analysis, what makes you think that I got 5 trades in a row, I'm on top of the world, I'm just going to buy this, oh, I got it wrong, let me over leverage and get back in. That is your personal journey. So mentorships, I think they're great as long as you're using them to refine skills. What are some of the other stuff that I did? I did also Zeus's mentorship from 2023. I got access to that. I did TGR trades. I think on his personal channel, he has like maybe like a 9 or 13 hour kind of how to trade. And what I took away from the Zusi stuff was a breaker before, a fair value gap before a breaker leads into a high probability reversal. If you get in on that, very high probability. And now he also dropped a whole bunch of knowledge about how markets move, and they move in very different sequences. And if you look for the right sequence and you align yourself with that sequence, you can get into making a lot of high probability decisions based on your overall model. And my 2022 model falls right into where he was talking about the sequencing. So for me, it's not contradictory information. It's stuff that adds and refines my overall ideas, things that I can look for and not depend on, but things that if I see this, it's like, okay, this is higher probability than even within my own personal model. Same thing with TGR trades. And I talk about this in almost all my videos that I do my overall my trade breakdowns. Even on my trade for, I think on Tuesday, I use kind of something that TGR Trades talks about, how to determine a high and how to determine a swing high and how to determine a swing low. I know that can seem, oh, you don't know what a high, you don't know what a swing high, but it's like, what high do you use? How do you know what high to use? And what he kind of explains is if you go on the 1 hour and you see a high then a low, that is a swing high. 2 candle pattern, boom, done. That's it. Up candle, down candle, the higher wick of both becomes your high. Low candle, high candle, the lower wick of either of those candles becomes your low. And I use that to execute on my November 12th, November 11th trade where I had a swing high taken out, buy side liquidity swept. How do you know that's the real swing high? Because it's on the 1 hour where it swept it. Goes up, goes down, retraces back, enter. 2022 first low risk entry retracement. Boom. Hold it until the swing low. I took many partials because the November 11th is a holiday, and for a whole variety of reasons, I'm not ready to really hold all my contracts as deep or as far as I should at this point in time, but still something that I use from TGR Trades that I can incorporate within my model that doesn't conflict between what I'm looking to do. So all this to say, if you're looking for a mentor, mentors are great if you're looking to use them to refine your capabilities. If you're looking for them to solve your trading problems for you to become a profitable trader, that I think is something outside of the realm that they're offering, unless you just want to get a payout and you're just taking signals, which I would just say, yeah, sure, you might have some short-term success, but eventually you want to be able to print money out of the market like an ATM. You want to be able to go wherever you want to go, open your laptop, take the trade without any outside noise, make your money, cash it out, take it to the bank. And I think that should be the goal of all of us, is a certain level of independence that you have from the skills that you learned. Because once you have those skills learned, nobody can take it away from you. If you're just relying on somebody else for signals, once they're gone, once they're wrong, what do you do then? So that's what I want to talk about today on today's Sunday Sit Down. I wanted to talk about the power of having a mentor, where they can kind of not meet your expectations, the difficulty of making a choice when the bias that you have versus the mentor, how it can be difficult, and also the expectation of them if your expectation is that they're going to lead you, to profitability. So take your time in the market, take your time learning all the skills that you need to learn, and I'll catch you on next week's video, and I'll see you at that point in time. Take care. God bless. See you later.